At some point in the next 12 to 15 minutes, potentially, Bigfoot Sasquatch may or may not walk through this patch of woods right here underneath this limb, but you will not see him, her, it, or they. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because of the butter. It's because of the two sets of glasses I have here. Kind of, sort of, but not really. It's because of the cedar-sided slats and the Bigfoot Sasquatch blind, which will prove why the majority of the people cannot see or hear, potentially, Bigfoot Sasquatch. So in that area, right there, between those two slats, all morning there may or may not have been a lot of activity and movement right here. So focus on that area, at least for as long as you can before I completely cover it up. And I'm covering it up for a reason. I had a conversation yesterday, a wonderful conversation with a wonderful woman, just a stranger I met. We were out, we'd gone to the gym, we'd gone to lunch. We stopped by the grocery store, and my beautiful bride, Giggly Girl, was going around getting groceries. I like to let her take her time doing this, and I've shared this in videos in the past, because she gets excited about what she sees in the grocery stores here in America. As you know, if you follow the channel, if you have been for some time, she's from the Philippines. She spent almost 30 years of her life being third world poor. She understands what a gift, what a blessing it is to eat more than once a day. And she's amazed by the multiple food products we have in the West, particularly here in the US. I mean, she sees something new every time she goes to the grocery store. I don't rush her. So my point to this is, sometimes I'll just go to a bookstore, or I'll go browsing around somewhere next door, Bed Bath & Beyond, or looking at way overpriced stuff I'm not stupid enough to buy. I mean, not judging anybody that buys that stuff, but I'm kind of thrifty. Give me a second. Not today. They are not allowed to see you today. So anyway, wow, the time I don't want anybody to see him, her, it, or they, him, her, it, and they start showing up. So anyway, meet a woman. She's about 5 years older than me. We're talking, small talk. I'm not going to go into, too many details. I'm like, yeah, my wife's getting groceries, so I'm exhausted from the gym. So we start this conversation. She goes on to tell me about herself, about her husband, about her children. And her son sounded very interesting. Sounded like somebody I might have something in common with. Her son recently graduated from a college that specializes in acting, singing, producing, filmmaking, and he's in a big city. And I was like, wow, that's great. Sounds like he's got a bright future. How's he doing now that he's out of school? And she's like, well, he's making all the right contacts. He's learning his way around the city, but he hasn't really landed any jobs yet, but he's doing the right thing by meeting the right people. And I said, well, you know what? That's great, and it sounds like he's really doing the footwork, but he's a millennial. He's, kid's like 25. I was like, he and his entire generation has an opportunity to do something no generation before them ever has, and that's cut out the middleman and go out there and succeed without the establishment behind you. And she's looking at me like I'm nuts. She never asked me what kind of work I did. I didn't volunteer. I didn't offer. I've learned not to do that. Okay, this is just an example of how that goes. people are like, you meet people, oh, so what kind of work do you do? Okay, if I say, oh, I'm a writer. No, really, what kind of work do you do? So at times I've said, well, I'm a YouTuber. No, really, what kind of work do you do? I can't answer that question, you know? Sometimes those conversations have been expanded on, and when people find out that I actually do okay at this, they're like, wow, OMG, you know? So all of a sudden they take it. No, wait, not today. You don't get to see today. I'm going to tell you why. It has to do with this butter in these glasses, okay? And these cedar slats. Give me a second. Not today. Okay, so whatever. And then after all that, you know, goes over, and they're like, oh wow, this guy's actually like one of the small percentages of people that actually can support his family doing that. I'll say, so what do you do? And they'll say, I'm a teacher, or I'm an engineer, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer. No matter what they say, I go, ah! And then they get offended. They look at me like, why did you laugh? I'm like, well, why did you laugh at me when I said I was a writer, or I said I was a YouTuber? And they're like, but I'm a lawyer. I don't think they get it. So anyway, my point to this is, I tell this woman, I'm like, come on now, your son is 25, he grew up with this technology. Tell him you talked to some stranger and he said, hey, try the YouTube thing, or try the Twitch thing, or try the Patreon thing, or try the Instagram thing, or try the whatever. Instead of spending that time making those contacts, meeting the right people, spend your time making content, creating the content that you love, whatever it is you're passionate about. Follow your heart, pursue your passion, spend your time wisely, spend your time on yourself. And she's just looking at me like I'm speaking a foreign language. And she goes, give me just 1 second. So anyway, in a nutshell, she told me none of that would work. Now, mind you, I hadn't told her who I am and what I do. She didn't ask, I didn't tell her, and I explained to you why. I just don't do that anymore. It's not worth it. But she wanted to convince me that to be successful on your own in social media or anything else in life, it's either you've got to know the right people or you've got to get really, 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 really lucky. Guys, if you believe these things, this is how you're viewing the world, okay? Here's some safety glasses. They're crystal clear. Really, they're not. I just lied to you. They're kind of dusty. They need clean. But let's say they were crystal clear. I mean, I can see through them. Well, for me to be successful in this life, I got to know the right people, or I got to get lucky. If that's how you see the world, that's like putting on a pair of clear glasses and taking a stick of butter and going like that. Now everything is blurry. I can partially see. I'm partially seeing the reality around me. The rest of reality I can't see is smeared and it's blurred. And nobody blurred that for me. I blurred it myself by taking a stick of butter and rubbing it on my glasses. And every time I tell myself I can't because of him, her, them, or some other reason that's outside of my control, I'm just putting more butter on my glasses. And every time you say you cannot see him, her, it, or they because of this, that, or the other, because I'm crazy, what do I have to do with your ability to see or hear what may or may not be right there in plain sight? You know, these slats are these things you tell yourself that keep you from seeing what may or may not be there. Why would we limit ourselves? We would never, ever, ever in our right minds, take a sharp object and damage our eyeballs in such a way that we would damage our own vision to where we couldn't see. Yet every day, we tell ourselves, I can't do that because of this. I didn't go to that particular college, so I could never get that job. Well, I don't know people in high places, so I can never do this. And you're right now, oh, look at him on YouTube. This guy got lucky and he's acting like he knows something. You know what? Years ago, we were very successful bloggers and we used Facebook. And if you've been following our channel for quite some time, you'd know this. And I remember having a conversation with a lady, very successful doctor. This was about 3 or 4 years ago. And it came up, what do you do? Well, I'm a blogger. Ha! Laughs, And I said, well, and I used to jade. Remember that term? Jade. That's when we justify our actions, argue our views or our points, defend our actions or our views or our points, or explain why we do things. I don't do that anymore. Because your real friends will never expect an explanation from you, and your enemies will never believe anything you tell them anyway, no matter how true it is. So if you're jading, stop. Don't waste your time. But back at this point, I felt like I had something to prove. We had just come back from the Philippines. I'd been there for 6 years. I'd been third world poor. I had gone for years where I was fortunate to eat once a day. I'm eating 3 times a day now. So I went on to explain to this woman, well, no, it's not luck. I wasn't lucky. This is how hard I worked. I read 10 novels a month. I wrote 10,000 words a day. That's the equivalency of 40 pages in a printed book. I finally got some success. I won some international journalism awards. I got my name on the map, and now I'm doing really well. And she didn't believe a word of it. So just like I said with the jading thing. So I don't jade anymore. But guess what? Then things went south. Then Facebook changed all kinds of stuff, the way they do things. We went out of business. And I found myself delivering mail in Charlottesville, Virginia, at times 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, getting ready to lose just about everything we had that we had worked so hard for. Or, as this woman would say, that we had gotten lucky to get. We switched platforms. I told my beautiful bride, dearly giggly girl, I said, you know what? We know what it takes to be successful. We know what you have to do, not just in social media, but in life. We did it on Facebook. Let's do it on YouTube. Let's rebuild our business. Well, here we are. And that woman might tell you we got lucky again. You know what? Even though I've covered the hole back there entirely, I'm dedicating a slat to that woman because this is her view. It's not luck. What it is I don't go around doing this. Wow, I really don't like this post office job. It sucks. I wish I could be successful in social media again. Oh, but I can't because I got lucky. That's the only reason I succeeded last time. Guys, I don't do it. And you need to stop doing it too. Take the butter off. It broke my heart listening to that woman tell me all the reasons why her 25-year-old son can't be successful in the world in which we live today. I talk about running. We go to the gym. I try to eat a healthy diet. I can't emphasize enough how important it is that we watch what we put in our minds. I bought dearly a product last week. She has several hobbies. There's one that she's really gotten into, she's very passionate about, and this hobby requires certain tools. I took her to the store. I picked out the best tool made for this particular hobby. She almost cried when I suggested, I want to buy you this one. Because in the past, and this is something she's done for a while, we've always gotten products that cost about half as much. I said, I want to buy you this. This is the best. She almost cried. She let me buy it for her. She's more thrifty than me because I spent 6 years third world poor. She spent 30 years third world poor. She knows the value of a dollar, okay? She is the most unmaterialistic person I've ever met. And it's just one of many reasons I love her. So anyway, she lets me buy her this product. A couple days later, friends of ours, and these are dear friends, and I'm not knocking my friend, but this is an example. The guy, he's into politics. I'm not, okay? And this is not pro either party or anybody. I'm just giving you an example. This guy is so into politics. He looks at this thing my wife is gloating over, and he says, I wouldn't have bought that because their spokesperson is this person and he thinks this and I don't support that and blah, 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 blah. I looked at him, I said, you know what? My wife's never had anything that nice in her life as far as this particular items go. I don't care who their spokesperson is. I don't care what their company's viewpoint is. I care about my wife, and I wanted her to have the best of this product because she does this every day. This is her hobby, and I wanted her to have the best because I love her. And he was like, oh. Guys, last night, I was getting ready to go to bed. I was on YouTube, getting ready to sign off. An ad pops up. It's a movie director, okay? I watch movies who have entertainers in them because I like their entertainment, their art. I read books because I like the way the author writes. I don't care about their political views. I don't care about what they think about world leaders. If they are gifted and if they are talented and I feel I can benefit from watching their art, I will watch, I will listen, I will read. Once they start spewing about their personal political beliefs, I turn it off. Sure, I'll watch them again, I'll read them again, I'll listen to them again. I don't care about that stuff, okay? So I'm watching this ad pops up, and it's a guy named Spike Lee. He's a great filmmaker, he's a great producer, and he's giving tips and hints on what you need to do to be successful. And I listened. It was only 2 minutes long. I listened to it because this guy is at the top of his class. I know that wasn't part of the designated area, but he, she, it, or they thinks they can go behind the tree and pop their head out somewhere else. Oh, I was getting ready to say they're wrong, but it looks like maybe they're right. Give me a second. Try that again. Okay, so anyway, I'm listening to Spike Lee. And I'm reminded of that woman and her son, and I'm thinking, gosh, this woman's son has more skills, more education in what I do than I'll ever have. I wish I had those skills, but I was thankful that I listened to that Spike Lee commercial because I realized what I do have is what he was talking about, and that's passion, and that's get out there and do it. And I'm going to close up with this quickly, and this is a big point I want to make to you. He said more than 90% of people in the world will go to the grave having spent their lives doing something that made them miserable, that they did not enjoy. He said, if you can do what you love and make a living from it, and if you're doing that now, you've won. Those words were powerful, and I agree with Spike Lee. Okay? So I don't care about anything else about his worldview or any of that stuff. As a director, as someone who's successful in his craft, I agree with him completely. And if you want to know how to win, if you want to start winning, if you're tired of losing, stop setting yourself up for losses. Stop doing this. Stop saying that him or her over there that's successful or where they want to be is because they got lucky, or because they made the right contacts, or because they were in the right place at the right time, because that's what it takes. If you're saying that stuff, you're rubbing butter on your glasses. And you're putting blinds up where obviously, for those who can see and those who can hear, because they don't tell themselves they can't, where obviously there may or may not be a potential Bigfoot Sasquatch. Maybe you'll begin to see. Maybe you'll begin to hear. Maybe you'll begin to live the life you want to live. I'm outie.